Hello storytellers and welcome. I am Lex Link and this is Creator's Cut, where I chronicle my continuing creative journey. As you can see, if you've been following my videos, today is a little bit different than normal. I have a different background, I'm in a different spot. I apologize for the kind of lacking background. I had unfortunately not been able to set up as I normally would. This month has been crazy. This month has been crazy, and that's honestly what this video is about. And also, I'll just jump right into it. If you're new here, background: I'm a writer going through an edit, and this is my monthly how things are going, what's going on, and things that I've learned. So this month I had to go through some not great things. A few weeks ago, one of my close family members passed away suddenly, very suddenly, and it was a shock. So I spent most of the month just kind of trying to process that and work in the meantime, because I am currently editing a long fantasy novel and working on the screenplay for it, and I have a conference coming up and just a deadline that I kind of, a self-imposed deadline that I wanted to meet for this story, and just nothing this month has gone how I thought it would or wanted it to. But as with all things in life, I've had to just kind of do my best to keep pushing forward. And so this video is about two things that I've learned from my current grief journey, and I'm sure there will be other things, of course, because nothing about grief is short. But as a creative, I kind of just wanted to put these things out there and hope that things that I've learned through this would be helpful to someone else, because this is never fun. There's nothing that we like about grief. There's nothing fun about sorrow. There's nothing fun about picking up pieces afterwards, because there's always so many pieces, so many things to do. But as creatives, on top of just human beings, but as creatives, we have to find ways to move forward and process our grief and use it for the betterment of our art. And so that's kind of what I've been thinking about and going through this month. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. So I think there's been two many things that I've learned through all of this that were kind of new, which was interesting because I've had other family members pass away, other things that have happened before, but it's always different. No matter how many times you come up against grief and sorrow, it's always a little different every time. And it teaches us something new every time, which is the silver lining in the otherwise negative space. Quick note on that is something I have been thinking about, is that even though grief is not fun, and we don't like it, we don't like sorrow as human beings, I think we just naturally want to run away from that. We want to be happy, right? Nobody wants to be upset purposefully. At least I don't know anyone that does. But having to go through grief and having to go through hard times and feel that loss, it really reminds you of what's important and why. Because if nothing hurt, then I feel like we wouldn't appreciate it as much, and the importance wouldn't be there. If the heaviness isn't there while we're grieving, then the heaviness of joy and love is not there when we're not grieving. So it's kind of a reminder of just the different aspects of life and emotion, and I think it makes us more sympathetic. And as creatives, it makes us better able to connect with others and with our own emotions and with our characters and with themes and just the human experience in general. So even though it's not fun, I am appreciative of that aspect of it, even though I'd just really rather not be going through it, as all of us would when it comes to those points. So just a little side. It made me feel better to remind myself that, or to remember that, yes, even though this hurts, I can use it somewhere for the betterment of my stories, but also for the betterment of other people and for connection and empathy with other people, which ultimately, as a storyteller, is what you're looking for. Connection, empathy, and the betterment of your readers or your viewers or your audience. I think ultimately that is our main goal. So this helps with that, even though it's a negative situation. And I think that's a bit of a blessing in disguise, even though obviously none of us would like to have to go through this, any grief at all. So the main two things that I have learned and been able to process through this is that, oh, and just let me, little aside here again, sorry, super quick. Obviously, grief is different for everyone. We all process things in different ways. There are similarities that we go through, of course, but if you're grieving something, you have to know what works for you. You have to know how you process things, what you need at the time, how to keep your mental health. That's all very personal, but I do believe that as creatives, we have some similarities in how we approach things. And so that's what I'm thinking in this section. But yes, definitely when it comes to grief, do what you need to do for yourself. Whatever it is, whatever makes you more, stable, able to process things. This is just a generalization and just things that I've learned and heard from other people too. So I hope it is helpful, but of course, nothing is 100%. Take it or leave it. If it works for you, take it. But the first thing that I learned was that I needed to be able to process what was happening through work. So process through work, right? That's number one, processing through work. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that I had to just throw myself into work and not, think about what was happening or any of those things, but that I had to literally work while I was processing things. I couldn't just stop. That's the main thing. I couldn't just stop. I had to be able to actually sit down and, do my writing, do my editing, do my layout for the script, do all of these things. I had to actually be able to work while I was processing, and actually through working, I was able to process better. Now, I don't know about you as a creative, but I've said this before, I'm a much nicer person when I am working. Not that I think I'm a mean person, but I'm much happier when I'm working. I do much better if I'm actually sitting and regularly, doing the job. And I think most creatives are that way. Probably most people are that way with whatever job that they have, but I'm talking, creatively here. I'm much better when I'm actually working. If I don't work for a period of time, honestly, even really a short period of time, I'm not happy. It doesn't do well. I'm one of those people that takes my work on vacation because I just want to do something at some point. I don't have to, sit there constantly, but I think I process life through creativity. And I think a lot of us do if we're artists. And that is very normal. So when it came to this, I had to do the same thing. I had to sit down and I had to work. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to this month, which is, I think, understandable. There were a lot of things I had to take care of that I'm still having to take care of. And I am still healing from my injury back in October, which, yay, I'm out of the wheelchair now, so that's nice. Back to walking and getting used to walking again. But I still had to work. I couldn't just stop. For a period of time, I didn't, do anything. It was a short period, though. And I felt like, I needed to go back to work, which will relate to my second point, but I'll try and stay focused here. But I had to work through this, and through writing and editing and doing all the things that I normally do and continuing to focus on the story, regardless of the fact that there were other things happening that I did have to give attention to, but not completely allow myself to be absorbed in. I was actually able to better process what was happening, still in the phase of trying to realize that, oh, this is actually real. But it's all a process. It's all, it's all the process. So give yourself some time for that. But I think being able to work through it, I have done much better than I would have if I hadn't worked through it. And not only have I gotten work done, which is great, but most importantly, I've been able to function and actually, put effort towards processing things. Even though I'm not actually writing about grief, I'm not actually writing about what's happening to me, I'm still going through the activity of processing life through writing. And I actually recently came across a video of a director talking about how everything was on his most recent film. And one of the things was that the lead actor had had something happen all of a sudden right before they were about to start production that kind of derailed his life. And so the director was actually saying, like, hey, do you need a little bit of time to process everything, to get things in order? Do we need to delay production a little bit? Which I thought was great. Obviously, you can't always do that, but in this case, he could. But the actor in question said, no, I think I need to process it on camera. I need to process my grief on camera. He was needing to process his grief by working, even if what he was doing and what he was, filming wasn't necessarily the same as what he was going through. And I think for most of us as artists, yeah, our work is a way to process life, to process whatever we may be going through, even if it's not exactly what our character's going through. It sounds a little strange. You would think it would need to be the same thing, but I think just the act of trying to be empathetic makes you understand whatever you're going through better, even if it's not the same thing that you're writing about or, acting or whatever it happens to be. Just the act of just the act of actually getting in there and doing your best to understand, because no matter what you do creatively, you literally always have to put yourself in a place of understanding. You want to understand your characters. You want to understand what the audience might be feeling. You want to understand how you're presenting your themes. Like, you're always seeking understanding of some kind and connection of some kind. So I think actually having to work while you're trying to process something like grief is beneficial because, one, it pulls you outside of your mind, but at the same time, it doesn't. It forces you to look at what you're dealing with in a way that means you can't run from it. And I think going through grief, different times, running from it is obviously the worst thing, because it's reality. You have to accept it at some point. You have to be able to process it. You have to be able to go through it. You have to be able to go, I don't like this, but it's happening, because it's life. And I think as creatives, connecting with the empathy means that we can reach that point sooner and in a more healthy way than if we stop. If we stop working, if we don't process through the grief, if we don't work through the grief, I should say, if we don't work through the grief. So for me, that's definitely been very helpful, is just reminding myself that, okay, I need time to process this, and the best way for me to process things is by working, and so I need to work. Does it have to be at the same rate I was doing before? No, not necessarily, and it hasn't been. I've had, again, things to take care of, things that I couldn't put to the side, and just days when I couldn't get very much done. And that's okay. That does happen, and we have to be kind to ourselves on that front too. But definitely sitting and working while I'm going through this has been a positive, which leads to the second thing that I have learned through this whole process, and that is that it's okay to be excited about things still. And in this case, excited about my project still, excited about my story still, and the script that I have been learning more about how to put out there. And this is something I've noticed, I think, just with people who are grieving in general, but also just creatives, of course, and something that I noticed with myself prior, when I've been through this kind of thing before, was that you almost feel guilty for being excited about anything. It's like this terrible thing happened, so I shouldn't be happy. How can I be happy because this terrible thing happened? How can I feel anything but, grief or sadness because this is happening? I understand why we feel that way. I understand why I felt that way. But I think at the end of the day, it's ultimately not the truth. You can still, I think you can have both emotions at the same time. You can be grieving and you can be sorrowful and you can be processing things and yet find things to be joyful about and excited about. And honestly, you need those things in order to help you get through what is happening. And I don't think we should feel guilty for that, even though we do tend to, or at least people that I have talked to and myself have tended to. So when I was sitting down working and working through the grief, continuing with the editing, continuing with the script, I did get excited about it. My excitement came back, and it was a little bit of a struggle to hold on to that excitement because again, you have that initial feeling of, oh, well, I shouldn't be feeling that way. I shouldn't be happy. I shouldn't be excited. Even if I was before this happened, even if I want to be, because this is an exciting thing. I had to give myself permission to be happy about it and to be excited about it, even in the midst of all of these negative things. And honestly, I think whatever you're grieving over probably would want that happiness for you. In my case, my family member who passed away, I know was definitely looking forward to the book and everything creative coming up, and I don't think would want me to feel guilty about it. And I think that's generally the case. And life is a balance of all these different emotions. So just because we might feel excited about something doesn't mean that we don't still feel sorrow and we don't still feel grief and we don't still miss whatever is gone. It doesn't mean that it's not important anymore. It just means that other things are also important and that we can use our excitement for those to bolster ourselves while we are going through our grief and processing what emotions we have. It's not one or the other. One doesn't mean that the other can't exist, and the other doesn't mean that the first is not felt. So it is fine to have both at the same time. You can allow yourself to be excited about whatever your project is, whatever you're working on, or whatever is going on in your life otherwise. You can allow yourself to feel that. It's not something you have to be ashamed over or feel is wrong. So those are the two things that I've really been thinking and had in my mind as I've been going through this. And definitely working as I've been trying to get past this has been helpful. And I do think that in general it is helpful, even if it is hard in its own way. So if you are kind of in this situation or a similar situation, just know that you are allowed to work if you want to, and I would recommend it, even if it's in small, bursts, small points. It doesn't have to be as much as you were doing before because there are a lot of things that you have to see to and you have to take care of yourself. But that's part of taking care of yourself. If when you feel like you need to work, even in the midst of all of these things, but also you don't have to feel guilty over being excited about your work or something else in your life, even though you are grieving. You are allowed to have both things. You are allowed to have the work and the excitement, even with the sorrow and the challenges. These are all things that are part of life, and I think they are all things that, ultimately, again, make us more empathetic as artists. And more understanding of ourselves. So for the rest of life, a quick update, because I do talk about updates and what's happening. I am still continuing to work on the edit. Things are progressing, even though they are slower than I would like. And I probably will have to move my deadline, but you know, that's fine too. That's part of being kind to yourself in these situations. Sometimes you just need to do what you need to do, but that doesn't mean you have to quit. So I'm not quitting, I am continuing, I am working through this, and I am excited about what is coming, even though I am still trying to process things and still trying to figure out the best rhythm for myself and, you know, my creative life right now. And I'm still watching anime, so the winter season is about to wrap up and the spring season is about to start, so I'm also looking forward to some new shows, hopefully. I haven't actually looked to see what's on the roster, so I will have to do that, but uh, definitely continuing to move forward with the book and everything else, and just taking it one day at a time. So I will see you all next month in my next update, and as I said last time, I have some other video projects that I've been working on that are a little bit delayed right now, but will be coming in the coming months. So please look forward to those, even though it's taking a little bit longer. Thank you for your patience. So I hope you all have a great month and that your projects are going well too. If you have any tips for getting through grief, please leave them in the comments so they can be shared with others. And I will see you next time. Thank you all for watching and supporting the channel. Bye.